Do you feel that in a time when we are more connected than ever, we are drifting away from real human connections, especially to ourselves? I do. Hi, I'm Leticia Latino, and I want to invite you to join me and my very inspiring guests in exploring ways to reconnect to your essence, to your definite purpose, to what makes you tick. Are you ready?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the last episode of Back to Basics for year 2020. Today is December 31st, and I'm in the middle of a camping ground called Ginny Springs. So bear with me, but I've decided to tape and record these in the middle of the forest. And if you see the episode's picture, then you'll see where I was. It's really all I see is trees, and all I hear is the birds and the wind. And granted, maybe the sound quality is not going to be the greatest, but in any case, I just wanted to do a truly back to basics episode. I've done a few of these, but what a better way to truly end the year, taking what I'm taking in right now, which is the trees and the sky. And then, yeah, sometimes I hear someone arriving in the camping ground, and I hear a car here and then. And I was thinking, as I was starting to prepare for this episode, that that's kind of how life is. We have nature always available to us, and if we think that we, as a person, can be that nature, we represent nature, and we have all these things inside of us, that is what we came with. And then the other things, like the car parking in or people talking, they are all the outside noise that comes into our lives. And I guess that's why meditation and all these things that we hear now more and more are taking such an important part of our lives, because it's the only way we can really stay centered and grounded. So I don't know about you, but normally at the end of the year, I try to take inventory of what happened. And of course, the one thing we can all agree on, and you hear more and more people saying it over and over again, is we want 2020 to be over. That's what you hear people talking about. And although I do want 2020 to be over, it's been a heck of a year. I also am afraid that tomorrow nothing is going to be really different, and it's going to be 2021 already. But we put so much emphasis on this year being gone that my fear is that when 2021 kicks in and we don't see an immediate change into what we want to change, which is, I think for most of us, is we want to go back to what we remember as normal, right? Not wearing masks, being able to socialize, our whole life. And that's not going to happen for a while. So I personally am trying not to put that much emphasis on that, but trying to take the year, on a more personal level, because I cannot control the pandemic, and that's an uncertainty that we have to deal with. And one of the readings that I've been doing from Pema Chodron, which I'm closing my year heavily on a course that she's hosting, and I really love her work, so I thought about incorporating some of the things that I've been reading about that I find fascinating. And in one of the readings, she says something about how we deal with uncertainty, and the fact that we try to kind of squash the uncertainty and not think about it, that actually might be the wrong approach. And in her own words, she says that we have to smile at fear. Smiling at fear, that's a hard one, right, to swallow, because it's so simple and yet so difficult. Like, how do I smile at fear? But it really, what she says, that it is a journey, and it really means working with your fear, not running away from it, but actually trying to stay close to it and understand where it comes from, and to start that process with a smile, to smile at what we are afraid of. And honestly, it's really interesting. She has some very interesting thoughts, and she also presents it in a way where she says that there's two ways of dealing with fear. We either become super hectic, and we just go so fast because we don't want to think about the fear, and we just want it to keep going, 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 so that we don't even acknowledge or feel it. And then the other side is people that they deal with it in a lazy way, which is basically the opposite of speed, and they go avoiding being present, and not doing anything, and procrastinating, and feeling unworthy, and just giving that frozen quality to the moment. But the one thing she highlights is that both approaches really aim at the same thing, which is avoiding the present moment. And so what she kind of presents in her teachings is the ground of fearlessness, is allowing yourself to be tender, sad, and fully present. The ground of fearlessness is allowing yourself to be tender, sad, and fully present. So these have been kind of my own reflections as I go into the next year, because again, I cannot control the pandemic, but I can control how I tackle the year. 2020, as we've said in other episodes and with guests, has been an extremely difficult year for most of us. Besides the pandemic, we've had to deal with health scares, with economic loss, so many different things. But I think we've also have gained so much in terms of quality of life, in terms of sharing with people, in terms of being in the middle of the woods like I am right now, because we're doing a self-distance New Year's. And I don't want to lose that. To be honest, I don't want to lose that. I was thinking yesterday, I said, this is so special. We're going to be in the middle of the woods for New Year's. And then it hit me. I'm like, this might never, ever happen again, because in normal circumstances, with my whole family from abroad and it can get together, we will never be in the middle of the woods for New Year's. So this is kind of a unique event. We might come camping again, of course, but not on New Year's Eve. And as such, I plan to stay present. I'm taping these at 1 o'clock, December 31st. I apologize for not having released it earlier as I normally do, but I wanted to be as up to the minute and authentic as possible. So, have you taken inventory about your year, and what is it that you want to change, and what is it that you want to keep? I think that's an important one. The other thought I wanted to share with you, and if you've heard a few episodes, you know that I'm big on bucket lists, but I'm not someone that does the bucket list for the year and say, this is what I need to do this year. I honestly don't believe too much on that. I am more of the mindset that if you want something, just go for it. Don't wait for New Year's to give you the false impression that because we are just changing the year, it's going to all be better now. That's my own personal opinion. And oh, by the way, if you hear my sound differently, it's because Murphy showed up and my headset stopped working. But in any case, I'm taping anyway. And sometimes even the computer sound is even better than the headset sound. And I have the feeling this is going to be the case. So, what's in store for me for 2021, or how am I approaching tonight? I don't know where I read a few years back that one great approach, to New Year's resolutions was not to have so much of a, list of things you want to achieve, but almost like a mantra, like a one word of what you wanted to achieve or what you wanted the year to bring you. And to give an idea, I've had a few years. One year I had relax. Like I am such a, dynamic person, I guess is a good way of saying, if not to say type A personality, always running. And I realized one year that I needed to take things in a more relaxed approach. And so that was my word for the year. And it was a hard one because even for work or things like that, like relax doesn't sound too much like, go getter, get things done. But it's all about how you approach things. So I learned to, even in difficult situations, to relax. It was just not going on the couch and do nothing. It's just relax about even the uncertainty of things. Think about it, just chill. And that was, something that helped me throughout the year. And then there's people that choose other things like proactiveness. I don't know. There's something I'm sure that you can think of, and then you can make that the theme of your year. And of course, you can choose health, and if you have unhealthy habits, put that at the center of it. But you have to choose something that you can control somehow, that you can do something to be in that state. So for this year, what I want to focus on is, or my word is going to be growth. And that growth, I want it to be both personal and spiritual and business wise. I want to grow my business. So I'm going to pick that one word, growth, and it applies many aspects of my life. And what some people do and I'll do is to put it on my vision board, and I'm going to have that word there, and in a place where I can see it every day, and then it can remind you what 2021 was all about. And you can keep a journal even about all the things and all the words and all the themes that you have chosen for your life. I have friends that are single and they choose family because they want to either share more time with their own family, or they want to really put forming their own family as a priority. So I invite you on this episode, on this very last episode of the year, to think about if you were to pick a word that you wanted to be your theme, the soundtrack of your 2021. What is it going to be? What's going to be your soundtrack to 2021? Isn't it a great way of thinking about it as a soundtrack to our year? The one thing I sometimes is we go into the New Year's with so much expectations, and then the year validates totally different from what we expected. I'm pretty sure that if you think about how you were ringing 2020 in, we never thought that in March the whole world was going to paralyze. So taking that also as a learning point, that no matter how much I visualize tonight that the year is going to bring so many different things, good and bad, that I cannot control. And the only thing I can do is to decide how I want to react to those things that it brings. I can have a thought on 2020 in terms of the guests I've had. Never in my wildest dreams would I had imagined to have some of the guests that say yes to the podcast when the year started. And I am so grateful for each and every one of them, that they said yes, and they came to share their thoughts with me and with you, hopefully. So here I want to say thank you. Thank you to all of you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for showing up. And if these podcasts and our guests are reaching even a little bit of your heart or your soul, or they're making you think about what makes you tick and they keep you inspired, then that's all I want. And being of service is another thing. If I had to choose another word that I want to keep choosing every day, that's more of an everyday thing, is being of service. How can I help others? How can I help make the world a better place? And I know that's a big, big challenge. But I think if all of us think like that, in a way that who can I help today and how can I be of service, we're definitely going to end up in a much better place personally and as the world. And then I invite you to try to create space for the uncertainty of life, space for not knowing what's going to happen. Because some people think that's, some of the most important spiritual leaders believe that it's all about creating what they call the gap, to creating space. I think in this year, we all have had to face a thought that we don't like, which is we know death is certain. And, depending if we get COVID, we could all be affected by it and we could die, because there's very young people with no underlying conditions that are dying. So we know death is certain. It's going to come to us at some point or another. But that point or that moment is uncertain of when is this going to happen. So the big thing then is to know what is the most important thing. What is the most important thing? What is the thing we would do if we know when we would die? And I know it's kind of a scary thought, but if you think about it, people change their lives when they are told that they don't have that much to live, or when they learn you know that this is going to happen in this time frame. We change, we do things that we never do. And I think my personal goal has always been to try to live that way, try to live like tomorrow is the last day. And I know we all said it, but from saying it to doing it, there's a big jump. And so I think that's a good thought that 2020 has left us with. We all have felt our vulnerability, how finite we are, that this can be over from one moment to the other. So let's think every morning when we wake up, as we go into our days, what is the most important thing? How can I best use this day? And then at the end of the day, let's just reflect about it. How did I use it? Who did I help? How could I say that I made a difference today in the world? And again, this is not something that, I don't know, I sometimes feel like I'm preaching, but I'm not preaching. I'm just reflecting even to myself, because these are things that I struggle with and I know other people struggle with. And I think in unity, we have more strength. Like if we are all trying to do good for each other, then it's going to be easier. It's going to be more manageable. And that's really it. Those are my thoughts for these new years. It's just, let's take one day at a time. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. Show up, do the work, stay true to what you're passionate about. Really take the moment to think about it. Think about what did you do this year, maybe that the pandemic allow you to do, that you have forgotten and that you're passionate about, and find a way to bake it into your life. You don't have to live out of it. I don't live out of my podcast. I don't make money out of this podcast. But you know what I get? I get your comments and I get your emails and I get your phone calls, for those of you that know me, telling me that such and such person that was on my podcast inspired them. They unstuck you. They make you think of something that you've been thinking for a while, and now you have other thoughts and other ideas about it. That's how I get paid, in a way. And I'm sure you have passions that you want to pursue. And the best advice is just do it. You want to write a blog, just write a small blog. It doesn't have to be a book. You want to write a book, just write a small chapter, short chapter. It doesn't have to be 17 chapters all at once. Just start. Just by starting, you are making a difference. So let's do this. Let's go into 2021 trying to do different things and just taking one day at a time, and smiling at fear, as Pema Chodron says. Try to connect with the source of that fear and try to understand what it is. And somewhere else I read also, talk to your fears as if it is a 3-year-old little girl or little boy that you're trying to comfort somehow. Just talk to your fear, try to be understanding where it comes from, and try to get comfortable with it. This is something that I'm personally focusing on, because it's very hard. But we have to follow the ones that are really trailblazers here, people that have devoted their entire lives to finding the spiritual path. I'm a firm believer of that. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to try to practice this and try to get more comfortable with not knowing what the heck is going to happen on 2021, because I can tell you, for business, 2020 wasn't a great year, and I know everybody would agree with that. So let's make a difference. And once again, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart to be listening to Back to Basics, for supporting me and the podcast. And if you want to give me a little gift, is just share it with someone you know and review it and rate it. And I promise to work really hard next year to bring you even more inspiring guests and just interviews that are able to spark something within our hearts and help us, guide us through this journey that we call life. Thank you, and see you next year in Back to Basics.